A cover crop is used to feed the soil in some way. And this is actually a practice that's been around for centuries. There are a number of different reasons to use a cover crop. One of the strategies would be weatherproofing a soil. So this is a cereal rye field, kind of very early on in its growth. It would have been planted in the fall and now is coming up in the spring. So imagine what happens to this soil when a rainstorm happens. There would be protection from raindrops. The rain would come down instead of striking a bare soil, and then later that soil, when it bakes, would become crusted and seedlings will have a hard time getting through that. Instead, the surface is protected by the cereal rye, so it's absorbing the impact of raindrops. So there's less impact on the soil, and then there's less chance of runoff and soil eroding and leaving the field. Weed control is another important function of cover crops. So cereal rye, it could probably get up to be 2 to 3 to 4 feet tall by the time the next crop is grown here. If you can imagine, it'll grow, let's say it'll grow 2 to 3 feet in height and then be terminated. That'll now create a large mat of material covering the soil surface, which is great for weed control. Many weeds will, if they do even sprout, they might sprout beneath that residue and die from lack of sunlight. Now I'd like to talk about the different types of cover crops. Sometimes I get the question, what is your favorite cover crop? And the answer to that is, well, it depends. So a cool season cover crop like the cereal rye behind me, that's planted in the fall. It'll grow a little bit and kind of go slightly dormant over the winter, and then in the spring it takes off and grows, and it really thrives in the cool seasons, and then we terminate it and we will plant a warm season cash crop into this. Now in turn, maybe you're interested in planting a warm season cover crop between cool season cash crops. So perhaps after the cold crops in the spring, or cold crops that are planted in the fall. So there would be different choices you can make depending on where that fits into your rotation. The nice thing about the grass cover crops is that they grow really fast, they produce a lot of biomass, and that biomass decomposes kind of slowly. So if we want that mat of coverage for reducing evaporation and weed control, the grasses are great choices. Then legume cover crops are also a great choice for producing nitrogen. So they fix atmospheric nitrogen and they provide that to the plant through a symbiotic relationship. Another category of cover crops would be non-legume broadleaf. So for example, buckwheat. And what's great about buckwheat is that it grows really fast, so it can complete its whole life cycle in as little as 45 days from planting to when it flowers. And then the next thing that comes to would be the termination method for any given cover crops. The roller-crimper is going to go along and flip that plant, roll it over, but also put a kink in the stem. Mowing will kill some crops but not others. Just depends if they're terminated at that growth point, if they'll grow again, or if they'll just shoot up more stems. And then many cover crops can actually be terminated through tillage and incorporation. There's a great book called Managing Cover Crops Profitably that's been put out by an organization called SARE, which is Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education. So I challenge you to consider putting cover crops into your rotation somewhere. I would think about where you might get the most benefit and start out small. Start out using them on a small portion of your acres and see what you think and give them a try.